We know that from the previous speakers the importance of imaging the lumbar spine under load, because in supine position the spine loads only 25% of the total load that is on the spine in the standing position and in other positions. So it's important to make a posture dependent imaging, because otherwise it can result in negative findings in the presence of symptoms and an underestimation of pathological findings. Dynamic MRI is a widely used technique, very useful, especially in the post-operative and preoperative settings, but is limited to osteostructures. And we know there are also axial loading technique that not reproduce the influence of what is the physiological load represented by the weight of the head on the body, and also the activation of muscle activation. So MRI is for sure the gold standard, because combines the superior contrast resolution of the MRI with the advantages of the imaging in a truly functional status. So first of all, we must consider also what are the physiological changes in the lumbar spine under load, because for example, normally under load we can have a distension of the thecal sac due to the increased hydrostatic pressure, also a reduction of the epidural venous plexus, that is a normal changes. There are also modification of the spinal curvature that are very important, as well as the modification of the spinal muscles that reflect the muscle activation of the spine. And we know that trophism and activation of the paraspinal muscle is an important factor for low back pain, although the role is still to be clear. However, the atrophy and the asymmetry of muscle activation can accompany several lumbar pathologies. And in this article we reviewed what is the state of the art of the dynamic MRI of the spine, from the anatomical evidence to pathological findings. And after 10 years of experience with G-scan, we published this article reviewing the lumbar MRI examination of more than 4,000 patients, and we roughly divided the patients into two groups: patients negative with no changes in the two position, and patients with modification on imaging after load. And the orthostatic examination showed that MRI changes in up to 70% of cases. So it means that in most cases we are missing some diagnostic findings in low back patients that are otherwise not visible in the standard study. This is an example of a disc herniation that in upright position is outside, extending outside in the canal. And also this is another striking example of two disc protrusion that are readily more evident in the upright examination. Other case depicting also the evidence of the annular fissuring in this axial scan after weight-bearing, or also the increase in the stenosis of the centrospinal, not evident in the standard examination. Posterior elements, Dr. Majano also showed the importance of the changes in the posterior elements, especially the ligamentum flama that under load are buckling. These are some cases depicting the buckling of the ligamentum flava under load, determining a reduction either in the central canal and the lateral recesses. In these studies, we also demonstrated the presence of the occurrence of an occult neural phenomenal stenosis under weight-bearing that is unmasked due to either the increase in the disc protrusion and also the facet joint osteoarthritis determining compression. The role of MRI is of paramount importance in instability because between radiologists, orthopedic surgeon, neurosurgeon, there are often slightly different point of view of the relevant points of the pathology. So weight-bearing MRI can make a more direct correlation between imaging finding and the clinical picture to share a common language. In instability, the degenerative stasis and the lumbar facet joint is very important because we know that with the degenerative changes, lumbar facets are prone to sagittalization and fail to restrain the anteroposterior movement under load. And this is what is depicted in the upright position with a standard examination with the fluid distension of the capsule as an indirect sign of instability, and in upright position the subluxation with anterolastasis. And this is also another case with stenosis of the neural foramen. This is a striking case with a dramatic increase in the anterolastasis of this L5S1 space under load. Before and after surgery is weight-bearing examination can give lots of information. This is an example of a postoperative examination with conventional MRI that was not able to show directly this presence of residual instability that is well demonstrated in the examination in the right position. And plates. Dr. Babu showed their work on diffusion, and we know that modic one changes can be one cause of what is called the discogenic pain due to the biomechanical stress theory. So the increase in the stress force in the vertebral plate can lead to microtrauma, bone remodeling, and bone marrow edema. And what we found in our study evaluating patients with modic one changes under load was that modic one changes actually increased in the upright position in a significant proportion of patients, together with the reduction of the disc height, as you can see here in this example, with an increase on both the vertebra, the bone edema of the modic one changes. And this was also accompanied by an increase in the pain and the symptomatology in the patient in the upright position. This is another case with an evident increase of the edema in the anterior portion of the vertebral and the disc. So these imaging results are an instrumental evidence of this, the biomechanical stress theory behind the modic one changes with end plate fissuring and water redistribution and edema from the disc to the adjacent subchondral bone. All these changes can be visualized both by experienced and less experienced readers with weight-bearing MRI, as we demonstrated in these studies. But what can be the future in the context of ongoing technological advancements in scanner and sequences, and reduced scanning time with increased accessibility to weight-bearing examination and increased imaging service, is the need to make a uniform report and standardized indication and the protocols. And this, as also Dr. Majan showed, can be useful with the use of computer-aided system such as the Spine, and this was our experience, showed also at the last ECR Congress. Dr. Majan showed Q-Spine, that is a tool for visualization and quantification of the biomechanical changes on the spine with MRI imaging in supine and standing position, with automatic measurement and segmentation of several spine parameters, including several quantitative measurement and also the measurement on the spinal canal section, together with an automatic reporting and comparison with the different examination. In our study, we evaluated several patients with the low back pain analyzed by two different readers, and we manually measured several parameters that were also described by the Q-Spine system, and we compared the inter and inter-observer performance using the manual and the semi-automatic quantification. The results show a significant increase in the inter-observer agreement and the reproducibility of the measures using the system, and what was also more important, and dramatic reduction of the processing time and the dramatic reduction of the workload for the readers. So coming to conclusion, Weight-Bearing MRI is an approach that can demonstrate changes of the biomechanical changes in the spine that can correlate more directly with clinical symptoms. It can evaluate the spinal curvature and the normal spinal anatomy in the postural way, and also the effects on loading on the pathology. And the possibility to use CAD tools also is time saving and can provide a comprehensive analysis of several spine structures, increasing the reproducibility and the comparison with different studies, and also the diagnosis and the outcome of patients. Thank you for your attention.